As a little kid, I was always scared of the idea of living on my own. The idea of fighting my way through a nasty tidal wave called life frightened me. I've seen documentaries that featured kids who were unfortunately stricken with poverty, kids who were abandoned by their parents, kids who unfortunately lost their parents because of either an awful accident or a terrible disease. Their faces that showed despair and heartbreak ruined me. As a little kid who's no older than 9, I despised the idea of living alone. So little me always got a little paranoid when my parents still weren't home even though it's already past 5 p.m. Fast forward years later and my greatest fear as a little kid became true. My dad lost his life in front of my mom because of a heart attack back in 2022. Exactly 2 days before Christmas. A year later, in 2023, my mom followed as she succumbed to the dangerous effects of breast cancer. Exactly a month or so before the new academic year came rolling in. Thanks to those canon events, I'm now officially an orphan.
Yay!
Sorry, I know. Before I gave my life to the Lord Jesus Christ, I've thought of nothing except for, self-illumination. Because, hey, what in the world am I gonna do? My parents are gone. They've left me nothing. No money, no place for me to go home. Nothing. They left me with nothing but problems. My world was bleak, black and white. However, after I gave my life to the Lord Jesus Christ, that's when I finally came to realize I'm still alive. He unexpectedly sent people my way to give me the money that I need to survive. He also gave me the idea to start this channel. Everything's all part of the process in accordance to his will. So, what's there for me to be afraid of? To be sad about? A similar situation happened to the protagonist of today's chosen film, a once defenseless human boy who unexpectedly found refuge under the roof of someone who's not human. But of course, because they're of different species, they oftentimes butted heads.
なんでやろうがな弟子は好き嫌い禁止だ
俺はあんたの弟子じゃね
うるせえ食え
えやだね
どうしても食わねえつもりなら
どうすんだよ
口の中に放り込んでやる
目。Hello guys, it's Yuri. Welcome back to another video, and welcome to the 4th episode of my new series, The World of Anime, through a Christian's point of view. But for those who are new here, then hi, welcome. My name is Yuri. Pleased to meet you. If you still haven't seen the movie yet, then I'm afraid that you're gonna be met with a bunch of spoilers for this one, so sorry in advance. As for today's video, I'm going to talk about another favorite of mine, The Boy and the Beast, an amazing movie that's produced by none other than Studio Chizu, the very same company that produced Belle. It mainly focused on the life and growth of a boy named Ren. At the same time, the story also included bits and snippets of the story of Kumatetsu, the beast who took Ren in as his disciple. As cliche as it sounds, the teacher and disciple duo didn't get along at first, since the both of them were too stubborn for their own good. However, as the years went by, Kumatetsu's hardened heart was slowly softened by his teenage disciple. And and eventually developed a father-son bond together. Let's now look at this unexpected boy and beast duo through a Christian's point of view. As what the movie showed us in the first few minutes, Ren was a devastated little boy who just unfortunately lost his mother. The only parent that was around for him, for his dad was, MIA for some reason. After meeting Kumatetsu and moving into the Beast Kingdom, he slowly started to move on from the pain of his late mother's demise and open up to those around him, which eventually led to him becoming a powerful and well-disciplined student of Kumatetsu. However, as expected, Ren found his way back to the human world and finally formed the bonds that he desperately needed with his fellow human beings, one of which being his father, who's desperately searching for him after all those years. If we are to look into the Bible, then we could see that Ren's character could be linked with the character of Jacob, Esau's younger twin brother and the very first Israel who fathered the 12 tribes. Similar to Jacob, who left for the land of Padan Aram to flee from his brother Esau and to look for a wife from his uncle Laban's house, Ren made a decision to leave the human world and move into the Beast Kingdom to flee from the pain of his loss and his legal guardians. But then, just like Jacob, who left the house of Laban with his wives, children, and possessions, and successfully reconciled with his older twin brother after years have passed, Ren eventually returned to the human world with the knowledge and skills that he's gained from his discipleship under Kumatetsu and reconciled with his father. Other than Jacob, Ren could also be linked with the biblical character of Samson, the strongest man in the Bible. If you know the story, then you could tell that Samson was a judge and warrior of Israel who defeated a lot of enemies while depending on nothing but the superhuman strength that the Lord Almighty had given him. However, even though Samson himself knew that the Lord had chosen him to lead Israel to victory, he still chose to disobey the Lord and instead gave in to sinful desires. A lot. Thanks to these desires, Samson unwittingly revealed his weakness to his Philistine lover Delilah, which ultimately led to his capture. But even so, Samson, with God's help, managed to defeat his last wave of Philistines by crushing them to their demise as he pushed the pillars of the Philistine god Dagon's temple. Samson giving in to the desires of his flesh was similar to the part of the movie when Ren decided to skip some of his training just to spend time with a human girl named Kaede, which eventually led to the scene of him meeting his father for the very first time. Because of this, problems between the beast and his human disciple arose, problems which were ultimately dissipated after the two of them reconciled and joined forces to defeat the enemy. Just like how Samson willingly submitted himself before the Lord Almighty and asked him for the strength that he'll need to defeat the Philistines. As for Kumitatsu's character, a beast whom many thought had no bright future because of his temper and laziness, he could be linked with the character of Jonah, a prophet of the Lord who's famously known for the story of him getting swallowed up by a large fish after going on with his dumb decision of disobeying the Lord by boarding a ship to set sail for Tarshish instead of boarding a ship that's bound for Nineveh. Just like Jonah, who unwittingly disobeyed the Lord because of his pride, Kumitatsu was a type of beast who would rather do his own thing instead of listening to others, only for him to end up begrudgingly listening to the Grand Master's instruction of taking a disciple of his own because he doesn't have a choice. Just like how Jonah had no other choice but to head over to Nineveh and warn its people, just as what God has instructed him to do. Both Ren and Kumitatsu obviously had their own flaws, just like the biblical characters that I've linked them with. Both of them were hardened because of pride. However, thanks to an outside force, they both managed to have their hearts softened and eventually won the battles that they faced because of the trust that they held for one another. If we are to link this idea to our lives as God's faithful followers, then we'll eventually realize that the only way for us to be truly victorious in life is to trust in the Lord, to submit to Him, for the battle was always His, never ours. Phew, okay, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you want me to tackle another animated movie, then feel free to comment the title of your chosen film down below. God bless, click that pretty like button, and please, subscribe!